Welcome to GRE Snacks, snackable episodes about the GRE exam and graduate school admissions. I'm Tyler, founder of Achievable. Our affordable GRE course includes everything you need to ace your GRE exam. A full textbook, tons of GRE questions backed by our memory-enhancing algorithm, and full-length practice exams. You can try it out for free at achievable.me, and the code podcast gets you 10% off if you like it and want to buy it. And so today, we have Matt Roy with us again. Matt is Achievable's author for the GRE course and also has his own website, GuideToGRE, with a ton of free resources for people that are studying for the test. Anything else you want to share about your background?
Yeah, I tutored for going on probably 5 years now, and I am just really excited to talk about the GRE.
Yeah, exactly. So today's topic is another one that seems to be a favorite of a lot of people's, which is how do you rethink the GRE Quant, right? I think that the GRE Quant in general is a test that it seems like it's a math test, which, you know, there's math in it, but beating the test is not about just being able to do all the math. And so I think this is always a really fun one to talk about, and I'm curious your take on kind of how you approach and rethink the GRE Quant section.
Yeah, for sure there is you can call it a right way in quotations of how to do any question, which will take a long time. And very often that's how they write their explanations. They write them in the very long form way. But in most cases, there is, I wouldn't even call it a trick, but there's a way to do it much faster. You know, each question on average should take, on average is 1 minute 45 seconds. So they know that they shouldn't be writing a question that will take anyone 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, if they do it the best way. So there's always a better way, actually. And we can talk about that too. Actually, that's what we're here for. So let me yeah.
Let's jump right in.
Yeah. The GRE likes to reward those who know theory, like they have a theoretical understanding of number properties and specific properties of question types, and those who understand the tricks. So for example, you know, the ratio of the three sides of a 45, 45, 90 triangle is just like a, and then a square root 2. A square root 2 for the hypotenuse. Of course, you can use the Pythagorean theorem if you know any of the three and solve for the third, or solve for the other one. But knowing this ratio can automatically save you a lot of time. And there are many things like this. There's Pythagorean triplets, there's the ratio of 30, 60, 90 triangles, and beyond geometry, there's so many tricks, okay? And the GRE will reward you for knowing these tricks. And I guess one point I want to say is people should understand that each question was created to test something. It's not random. Like it's not like I'm gonna give a metaphor here. I really like to play chess. And there's things called chess puzzles. A chess puzzle gives you a situation in a game that's really important, and it's your job to decide the best move. That's what an exam is. In a regular chess game, there's no way of knowing if you're in a vital position. There's no way of knowing if like the best move is really a boring move that doesn't really change the game or not. But in a puzzle, you do know that there is an important move. The same thing for the exam. There is a rule or a principle that is tested in this exam, and you can be confident if you studied, knowing that there is a way to do it quickly and to do it effectively. Okay, and it doesn't take 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not probably nearly as into chess as you are, but I like that analogy because it is easier a lot of times to solve a chess puzzle than to like see it in a chess game, because you know that if there's a puzzle and it's like solve this in 2 moves, you're like, well, how, like clearly you know, I've got to do something crazy here.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's like the GRE. you should know that it is testing for a specific, if you see a triangle that has a 90-degree angle and a 30-degree angle in it, it's a 36 and 90, and you should know automatically this is about the ratio of 36 and 90 angle or sides.
Right.
And just the more you do, the more you'll understand that, the more you'll recognize these tricks.
Right. And also recognize, if you see a 30, 60, 90 triangle and it's asking for the hypotenuse, that, assuming everything's a full integer, the answer has a root 3 in it, right? And it's just like little things like that.
Yeah. It depends on what they give you, what part is given. Right. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. I also want to say that sometimes the right way of solving for an answer requires a lot of work. Like, for example, if there's a very complicated algebra problem and you have to solve for a variable, it could take some time. But it may be faster to just plug in numbers. Mm-hmm. If the question asks, what's the ratio of x to y? You might as well plug in 1 for x and see what y is. If y is 2, then the ratio is 1 to 2. Instead of conceptually thinking to compare the concept of x and y in your head, just plug one in. And for percentage change questions, plug in 100. Because a 20% increase of 100 is 120. Because a percent of 100 is that number. Okay? These things can save a lot of time. They may not be how the explanation would tell you to do it, but they are the best way to do it for test takers, at least.
Right. Yeah, plugging in 100 is actually really great for percentage change problems because it just makes it a percentage.
Yeah, and oftentimes the final question asks for the basically the solution as a percent of the original. So for example, if the solution is 80, you again don't have to put into the calculator the solution over the original number because it's over 100. So it's just 80%. So right. it even has a secondary benefit. There's one last point I wanted to make about this, and that is you can even save time. In a previous podcast, I spoke about how the GRE calculator can be, is useful to compare quantity A and B if quantity A and B are made up of complex, a square root of something times something else, and you can just put them in the calculator and compare the decimals, right? But sometimes there are very simple ways to compare quantity A to quantity B without even plugging anything in. So for example, if you've completely simplified quantity A and it's something like 12 over pi, and you're comparing it to quantity B, which is 4, well, 12 over pi is 12 over a little bit over 3, right? So basically, it's guaranteed to be less than 4 because you're dividing it by something a little bit more than 3. So that's another thing that you can do to save a little bit of time, and it's not necessarily even solving for quantity A. It's just understanding that it's greater than B. So the explanation will tell you exactly what quantity A is and tell you exactly what quantity B is. But if you can compare the two without even calculating and logically understand which one is better or which one's greater, then you can save some time. And it works the same for number properties. If you can prove that quantity A is positive and quantity B is negative, then quantity A is greater without even calculating. So yeah, that's the last point I wanted to make there.
Yeah. And so just generally, just to kind of broaden a little bit, I mean, these are great little little tactics for individual things. And so, I mean, I think that your point on chess puzzles, on essentially trying to find I don't know if tricky solution is the right way to put it, but like try like there that you knowing going in that there's sort of deliberately a fast way to answer this.
Yeah.
That is somewhere in there. How do you approach that on the test? Like beyond just memorizing all these tricks, which, you know, depending on which course people are using, like they might not have all of them.
So
like how do you diagnose that?
You should in all cases try to get to the answer as you see fit in the moment, which could be the slow way. You should only use these tricks if they come to you, if you notice them really easily. And the only way to notice them really easily is with a lot of experience. But of course, you should not hamstring yourself and like not try to get to the answer because you feel like there's a quicker way. There may be a quicker way, but in the end, you're still like in the thick of it. So you have to try, even if it's a slow way. But I would say the way to try to fix that is before the exam, have a lot of experience. You have to see all these question types. And the more you see, the more you'll recognize. Right.
Yeah, using those ETS Power Prep tests for sure, and using them as sort of gold, and then also just using your vendors. Trying to get a sense for it.
Yep, definitely study a lot, and even more than study, do practice problems a lot. A lot of people like to just spend a lot of time, I don't know, like listening or watching videos where other people do problems.
Right.
It's not the same as doing it on your own. It's not the same.
Yeah. Though I think maybe the workflow there is do the problem yourself, then if you get it wrong, watch someone else do it. Yeah.
Yeah. There are just some people that they flip it. That's not a good habit to have. But yeah.
Yeah. Got it. Great. Well, thanks, Matt. This has been GRE Snacks, hosted by Tyler from Achievable. You can try our GRE course for free at achievable.me, and the code podcast gets you 10% off at checkout.